Hello everyone, and welcome to another unit review here with me, Umber Rays. And today we are looking at probably a unit that I have not been well, a unit I was definitely not expecting, but she looks absolutely amazing. Today we are talking about Elly, or well, yeah, we'll basically just call her Elly. So Elly is particularly exciting because she represents basically just a new, quite possible era for mages. And honestly, that is super exciting for a whole bunch of reasons. But first of all, let's take a look at her sprite, because her sprite is gorgeous and has a lot of flair in its 7-star version. And let's face it, cutscene mecha limit burst is just pretty damn cool. Just so cool, it's even worth seeing twice. She's pretty cute. Alright, so let's get into talking about Elly. Basically, her Trust Mastery reward is a 32 attack, 120 magic rod with a skill of 20% extra magic. This is kind of an incredible TMR just because, well, chances are if you've been doing trials, you really could use some extra base level staffs. And the only super amazing staff that comes to my mind every time is Medina's Super TMR. So this having an extra 20% magic on it, and you could enhance it in theory to get even more percent magic on it, is just kind of insane. I think this is great for a ton of different units, a ton of different mages, but of course for Elly, and we'll talk about that in a second. Now, her Super TMR is nothing to be scoffed at either. It is a Materia 60% magic when equipped with a rod, which, you know, Elly's going to be equipped with a rod every time, so this just works perfect for her. Plus 60% resistance to fire, water, wind, and earth. Given her natural resistance as well, this is very good for just making her pretty much immune to a lot of different elements. And that makes her just all around more durable. So yeah, this Super TMR is really quite amazing. Now, her limit burst is maxed out at a 7-star, a 2000% AoE, one-hit magic attack that self 3 turns buffs for 150% magic stat, which turns out is pretty good, seeing how this girl is basically just going to be casting magic every single time. So, basically her limit burst works really well and is a all-around just powerful attack for sure, and that is what I absolutely like about it. But let's talk about this girl in general. And the thing that I want to talk about in general when it comes to this girl is her base stats are just kind of absolutely stupid. There are two mages that I would like to compare this girl to. One is Transterra, two is CG Sakura. Now, if I could just remember where I hid my CG Sakura page. There it is. So Transterra in her 7-star has a base magic stat 197 with an extra 65 points being able to put in. Not bad. CG Sakura, on the other hand, it has a base 204 magic with an extra 50 pots to put in. So basically, fully enhanced Transterra is more valuable. But then we come to Elly. Now, Elly, on the other hand, has a base magic stat of 219 with an extra 65 points. So it's actually just a considerably higher base magic stat, especially with stat pots, than either CG Sakura or Transterra. And as we all know, the higher the base attack, the higher you can get up the chain. Also, other than that, just taking into consideration, Sakura has 274 for MP, plus an extra 100. And Transterra has 241 with an extra 90 points to be able to put in, where this girl has 287 with an extra 90 points. So she also has more MP, which is kind of important, as we'll talk about in a minute. By the way, sorry, I'm still sick. So let's take a look at the way I have enhanced mine so far. Basically, I haven't been able to max out her magic quite yet. Almost there. By the end of this raid, I'll have it done. Also, her spirit still has some work, and her defense, but in general, with Diablos, not with Leviathan for an extra magic boost, I'm sitting at 2122 for a magic stat, 643 for spirit, and 868 for MP. All around, pretty damn good. In terms of elemental resistance, also pretty much some 30% here and there and there. And of course, Diablos is giving us a 50% to darkness. Now, magic-wise, she doesn't have anything in particular. It's basically all of her abilities. And let's just start really with the fact that you just want to make this girl a 7-star. There's no two ways about it. 7-star is the only way to go. You get 2 of this girl. So, the important thing about this is her Trust Mastery ability. By equipping her TMR, which I've already established is just really, really, really good, you get triple cast every turn. That alone makes her better than both Trance Terra as well as CG Sakura. Triple cast every turn is insane, and because this girl does have a lot of MP, she can also regen a lot of MP. So in her kit, she has a lot of passives for magic, MP, spirit, as well as, you know, some natural killers versus machines. So, God, I feel bad for a machine that's weak to wind that will be against this girl in the future. But in her kit, she has a lot of variety of 4 types of elemental spells. First of all, wind, fire, water, and earth. Almost sounds like a band's name. Anyway, so they kind of vary in how many attacks they do. Her base 32 MP are about 400% hits, which are, you know, not bad, pretty damn decent. She has a 100% single target 6 hit at either 10 or 8 frames that debuffs either for defense or spirit for 3 turns for 50%, so that's pretty good too. Then we get into, she has sleep, silence, and confuse resistance, all very important things. She has her 40 MP elemental abilities, which range from multi-hits like the Earth one, which hits 16 times at 8 frames, or her Wind ability, which hits 3 times, and has basically each of her 40 MP abilities also debuff 60% for their elements. So she can be using this, debuffing, and still hitting all at the same time. Basically, she's a super damage dealer. Continuing on, now getting into her 7-star kit, and this, again, in her 6-star kit, in her 6-star kit, she of course gets double cast, but equipping her TMR in her 7-star gives her triple cast of all of her abilities, which is insane because it is her 78 MP abilities that are just absolutely bonkers. Her 78 MP abilities all have stacking damage. They start at 450% and get 200% with each, used to a max of 1450%. Now, that's insane. That's really, 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 really high amount of damage stacking very quickly because unlike CG Sakura, she is triple casting, meaning she can max out faster. But her wind attack, earth attack, fire attack, and water attack all change in the number of hits. Earth, fire, and water all are 1 hit, where wind is a 5 hit, so it kind of chains, but it's also at 20 frames, so it's a little bit weird. But there you go. Now, other than that, here, Eldaheim, which I believe is the name of her mech, gives her an extra 30% to magic, 20% to MP, 30% to all resistance, and she gains 2 limit burst crystals per turn, which is kind of important because her limit burst is pretty strong and buffs her. But it is her cooldown ability at 120 MP that just kind of says, you know what, it doesn't really matter about anything else. I have this, which is a 4-turn cooldown available on turn 1, self 240 MP heal split over 3 turns, and learns for 1 turn Pentacast, meaning that she can cast any of her abilities 5 times. But, you know what? CG Sakura has that pretty much, except for the MP heal, I don't think. Let me take a look real quick. It's just a page over, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, it removes her magic debuff, but doesn't quite do all that that's not the big deal here. The big deal is that Elly's cooldown ability for 120 MP also AoE debuffs for 3 turns, 100% to fire, water, earth, and wind. Earth. That's a new element. Which is insane. The fact that she does this right before she gets Pentacast, and that she still has another 2 turns after to hit at a high stacking damage, means that this girl can do a massive amount of damage, but it gets even better because her 99 MP cooldown ability, which is available turn 3 on a 2-turn cooldown, is a 1600% single target 1-hit magic attack, which is very, 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 very strong, and it also self-fills 10 limit burst crystals, so it gets her limit burst faster. From there, she gets extra magic, and of course her last ability just gives a 1.5 limit burst damage, so at 2000% with that limit burst damage, she's basically up to 3000%, which brings up another magic unit recently that was pretty cool, Freya. Yeah, Freya. But it also gives her a 200% damage modifier for some of her abilities, and 40% whether she is two-handing, magic, or dual wielding. And why not just dual wield is always the sentence with this. But here's the thing. She has the strong limit burst of Freya. She has the incredibly high power damaging attacks that Transterra has. She also has the magic stacking like Transterra and CG Sakura. The thing I absolutely love about Elly is that she has 4 different elements, which means that she can cover a pretty good amount of bosses. Not just necessarily the one boss, but a whole bunch of different bosses. Because chances are the bosses won't be immune to all 4 elements, unless Alum's being particularly dickish about things. But here's the thing I like about Elly as opposed to Transterra, is the fact that Elly has a natural 10% MP recovery per turn. At those 78 MP abilities, triple casting every turn, she's going to run out of MP, somewhat quickly until you add in both the Emeralda's new 40% magic buff plus 5% MP recovery per turn, as well as a whole bunch of other things. Like, if you just stack MP recovery, this girl's going to be fine because she has a super high MP stat as well as 10% natural in her kit that can be stacked upon. It might even be worth enhancing her rod to have MP recovery, because then you're just cool. So yes, Elly is kind of the best of all of the mage worlds. She has multiple elements. She has more elements than Transterra or CG Sakura. She can do a lot of self-buffing. She can stack very quickly. She has triple cast. I'm not entirely sure that Alum didn't make a giant mistake here, because quite frankly, she just seems way too strong. Just way too strong, but we're going to demo her off because that's what we like to do here. Now, why am I bringing along Santa Rosalia? Just for the MP recovery, because it makes it a little bit safer. So, and the other thing that I would like to note is the fact that, as it turns out, it's kind of a nice thing when you have 2 Runeras who know how to do wind chaining. So we'll see how much damage this does. 70 million, not bad for a first go. Alright, we have her limit burst, which will give us a higher amount of MP recovery, which is good. We're still stacking wind damage here, which is perfectly fine. And now hit, hit, hit. Pretty close to 100 million even on turn 2. Feels pretty good. Now, we can actually do this as well, just for fun. We're just going to debuff for the Holy Element. I should mention as well that CG Hayu does have his Holy Element sword, so he can chain in with these girls. Alright, so chain, hit, and... $151 million, definitely not bad. So now we're going to buff up our characters as much as we can, because we only have so many turns in this mode. I would wish that his limit burst would be ready, but, you know, can't have everything. Or at least not if you're me. And the other thing we're going to do is we are going to awaken CG Hayu, so he can get triple cast for our one big turn. Alright, so now this is what we are looking at. We are looking at Elly with Pentacast right here, and the way we are going to do this is we are going to actually chain in to her super cooldown ability too, along with her wind stacking ability. She can basically chain and kind of finish. From there we are going to be using, of course, our Runeras for extra magic damage. Now the chaining isn't exactly perfect, and I'm not going to say that I have this down 100% pat yet, but in general we should be able to do, you know, a fairly good amount of damage. And I'm not even going to pretend I can see all those numbers. 381 million. Not bad, considering I changed up a few different things there. Earlier, when I was practicing, I was able to hit 500 million points of damage. So if we just go in here, we can take a look at our record, which is approximately 502 million, give or take. Of course, we still have a long way to go before, well, we're never going to reach this, but, you know, that's pretty good. 742nd place feels, you know, pretty decent overall. So, yes. In general, I have to say that Elly is just kind of incredible, fantastic, amazing. I don't even know. She actually pairs really well with Volca, too, because, if we can just bring her up, the fact is that Elly also has stacking magic damage for the water element, and as it turns out, Volca just so happened to come out recently and has an ability that she can actually increase a unit's water magic damage. So that's pretty interesting too. Plus, so if you could just get some water debuffing and water chaining, water might be a really strong thing with Volca, Elly, and a few other units yet to be named. Titus, I guess? Randy? Excuse me. Still sick. But yes, I have to absolutely 100%... Ugh, God, I can't wait to be not sick. I absolutely 100% recommend Elly. She is incredible. She is amazingly powerful. She is a mage in a kind of just a class of her own. She has the benefits of all of the top tier mages that came before her, and a lot less of the weaknesses. So thank you very much for watching this unit review. Next time, we'll be taking a look at Faye.